It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life brings you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. In 2011, today's guest, Colleen Alexander, was run over by a freight truck. After 5 weeks in a coma and 29 surgeries, Colleen survived. Rather than let the trauma and depression control her life, she became determined to find a way to turn her pain into something positive. A lifelong athlete, she decided she would run again and dedicate her medals to the everyday heroes around us. Since then, Colleen has run 50 races and completed 40 triathlons, including 4 half-Ironman events. Now a spokesperson for the Red Cross, she shares her story to encourage others to take that first step forward. Colleen is the author of the new book, Gratitude in Motion, a true story of hope, determination, and the everyday heroes around us. Welcome, Colleen. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
Colleen, thank you so much for being here because you have such an inspiring story. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about what your life was like before the accident. What were you doing and what were you experiencing at that time?
It was going really well. My husband and I had been married for about a year. We had been reconnected for about 3 years. We just moved to Connecticut. I had started a new job. We were actively trying to have our first little one. We were enjoying life.
Okay, so everything was going well and your life was on track. So let's talk about that day. What happened that changed everything for you?
October 8th was just a gorgeous fall day, and I had been called in for a work meeting on a Saturday, and my husband was a postal worker, so he worked on Saturdays to deliver mail, and I always rode my bike into work. As long as weather permitted, I would ride it, and it's about 10 miles each way. So gave him a kiss goodbye, had everything sitting out on the counter to make for dinner when I got home, and headed to work. I had a wonderful meeting with my supervisor, left, was halfway home, and unfortunately, a large freight truck blew a stop sign and ran over me with front and back sets of tires.
Colleen, what were the extent of your injuries?
They were significant. My entire body from right below my xiphoid process down past my knees was run over. So if you would imagine the double set of tires on a freight truck. So thankfully my heart was missed, but I was run over twice and dragged. I was basically gutted apart. The doctor described it much like if you were to put an apple on one of those old-fashioned apple peelers, crank it to take the skin off. That's what happened to the vast majority of my body. My pelvis was literally snapped into 2 pieces. I had an open book break. And then my leg was just crushed and my ankle was crushed and back and front ends were completely ripped apart. So I thankfully was backboarded and by 3 amazing, strong women here in Madison that are paramedics and EMTs, and brought to Yale. I flatlined within 2 minutes, approximately 2 minutes of getting in. My femoral artery had also been ripped apart. And the journey of just trying to bring Colleen back started. So I began going into cardiac arrest. They said basically as quickly as they could get blood and body products into my system, I was just draining them out. My chief trauma surgeon described it like if you were to change a fish tank and you left the motor running. You forgot to unplug it. So you're draining the water out of the tank and the motor just starts struggling to try to siphon that water, and eventually the motor just burns out. And essentially my heart muscle was working so hard to try to bring whatever blood was left in my body, and there just wasn't enough blood left. So I began flatlining. And as I had approximately 20 people circling my body in the trauma bag giving CPR for over 20 minutes, there were surgeons trying to screw my pelvis back together. And apparently it was just a pretty chaotic scene.
Colleen, do you have any memory of this at all?
I have too many memories, unfortunately. So I remember the entire trauma very, very vividly. Everything up until I coded the first time in the trauma bay. And then my next memories are of being in a coma and being able to hear and smell and taste, but I couldn't move anything, including I couldn't breathe for myself. Yeah, the memories are present.
So, Colleen, these professionals used their medical genius to fix whatever they could, and then it was time for you to heal. What was your recovery like?
Very intimidating and very scary. So nobody knew the extent of how well I would recover. We knew that it was going to take years. Over 50% of my body had lost its skin. So we were aware that at minimum, I would be growing skin back for about a year to a year and a half, and that I would have several surgeries. We weren't sure how well I'd be able to ambulate, if I'd ever walk again. So there was a lot of unknowns, and my medical staff was really incredible with me, that they were always very honest. I was never given any fluffy, you're going to be great, and you're going to be a triathlete again, and you're going to be a mom, and, you're going to recover fully. They were always just very, very raw with me with, first of all, you survived, and this is incredible, and we're going to be right here with you for every step moving forward, and as long as you're willing to fight and work hard, we're right here with you to fight and work hard. So the series of races, I think, began for me once I woke up out of that coma.
Colleen, were there times when you said, I just can't do this anymore, I'm too tired, I can't fight on? And if there were, what kept you going?
Yeah, there absolutely was. The pain in itself was very difficult to just know how to exist. And I had wound changes daily, sometimes 3-4 hours at a pop, which were very, very humiliating. And the thing that I started to learn was that I had all of these people that donated blood, and that my heart had only been restarted because of these multiple units of blood that were given to me. And when people donate blood, they do it selflessly. They're not getting anything back except for maybe a cookie and some apple juice. But I learned the magnitude of heroes behind me, and I learned that I had these hands-on CPR compressions. And the very act of the human family became so real and so powerful for me that I knew I wasn't alone. So that has really been the driving force for me, is that I'm part of something far bigger than just this incident that happened in my life.
Well, Colleen, we all go through different types of trauma or challenges. What is your message to someone who feels like he or she can't go on? Is it that we're part of something bigger?
That we're a part of something bigger, and also that it is completely okay to not be okay sometimes. I believe that in our society, we are taught that if you're going through a tough time, suck it up and get through it. If you have chronic pain, if you have depression, if you've had a death in your life, if you've had a disease or whatever it is, we rarely are given the permission to mourn and be messy. And more than anything, I think for people to understand that the most beautiful pieces of art come out of really, really messy art studios. And we have to give ourselves permission to be messy and to know that at our weak moments, we have no less self-worth. Our worth is still there. It's still great. It's still strong. But we need assistance at that time. And that doesn't, make us any weaker.
Colleen, since it was the lower part of your body that sustained the most damage, why did you choose to run again? Did that make some kind of a statement for you?
Absolutely. So running has never been easy for me. I had brain surgery prior. I have lupus. Running has always been very, very painful because it's joint related. And so I did run, but predominantly so I could do triathlons, but I didn't love it. And once I was bedridden, thinking I might never run again, the only thing I wanted to do was run. And I knew that I would never run as good as I ran before, but I used to dream of running. I would just imagine my body just moving forward. And running became this catalyst for me that I could say thank you to so many people that had helped me live and thrive. And when we do races, typically we get a medal at the end, a finisher's medal. And when trying to to thank a hero, there's not many things that we can really, that I could think of that I could give to a hero to really thank them. I mean, certainly my verbal words, giving them a hug, giving them a card, but to be able to go out and literally take these journeys, these physical journeys of strength, and then get this medal and be able to hand it to a hero, became this impetus to run. And then I started thinking, oh my goodness, well, I have all of these doctors and surgeons, and I have all my physical therapists, and oh my goodness, look at all these races I have to do. It became a very different experience. And then I had 30 surgeries. So in order to go under anesthesia each and every time, I wanted to be as strong cardiovascularly as I possibly could be. And so I no longer raced to place, but I would race to be as strong as possible to go in for the next surgery. So running just, it has a whole different meaning for me now. It's very journey and spiritually driven.
How has all of this changed you?
I just appreciate the days a little bit differently now. It's forced me to really relive a lot of my infancy, because I was incontinent for a long time. I was dependent on everyone for everything: food, drink, water, air. I relearned to walk. I had to relearn basic math. I relearned so much. And through that experience, I thought, that little Colleen that was there so many years ago, that was learning these things, is still very much a part of me today. And learning how to nurture that younger self in my present state has been really beautiful.
The book is Gratitude in Motion, a true story of hope, determination, and the everyday heroes around us. If you would like to get more information about Colleen and her work, you can visit ColleenKellyAlexander.com. Colleen, in about 30 seconds or less, what's a takeaway? What would you like to leave our listeners with?
There's a lot of turmoil that's happening in our world, all around us in our communities, and remember that love is always louder. We are part of a beautiful human family, and just look at each other, look at yourself, remembering that our hearts all bleed the same blood, and we need each other to survive, and how beautiful our human family really is.
Colleen, thank you so much for being here with us today. Your story is so inspiring, and it reminds us that anything in life is possible, and also that wonderful things can come out of the darkness. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
This is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us. I hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided are the opinions of our guests and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, CYACYL.com. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read our digital magazine, take part in the book club, check out our team, and be sure to follow the show on social media. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.